And now, another exciting episode of As the River Churns.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Thursday.
Yes.
We've got special guests today, Lisa.
We do.
This is so exciting.
I know. We always love it when there's guests.
It's Jay and Jay. Jack and Jim.
This is how it's going to go, Jack.
Well, or it's J squared, right? You know, that could be J squared, right? I mean, it's great. It's very exciting today. So, wow.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, it's great to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Jack and Jim, but hello.
So hang tight while we do a little business, and then we'll get to you guys, because we got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about with Furl today.
We do.
Yes. And Lisa's got it all figured out now. She knows what the Furl, actually, the abbreviation stands for now.
Free University.
You're never going to live that one
Landing.
down, are you, Lisa?
I will never.
You are never going to live that one down,
I will
unfortunately.
not. No.
But you know what? That's why we love you, and that's why we all do those kinds of things, and so we get to
Exactly.
joke each other about that afterwards. So it's kind of
get it.
fun. All right, Lisa, let's get started. So we've already flipped our time
yes.
hourglass here, so that's good.
Yep.
We're way ahead of schedule here. Way ahead of schedule.
Yes.
All right,
That's
trivia
exciting.
question.
Okay. Today, the question is from Diane Phillips, and she may have forgot she submitted this because it is back from April.
Oh my gosh.
I just found it in my folder. So
You know, when you were looking for what furl was, it went back to April before you could find something on it, and I think that's it. You just happened to see it at that time, right?
I did. So let's see if she remembers this one too. So it was a while ago. And the prize today will be a $10 Target gift card,
Oh, yeah.
which is a great prize.
Yes.
You're going to call Michelle. So let's go ahead and give out her number now. 336-389-4103. And her line will be ready in just a second here. Okay, here's the question.
Here's the question.
Name the Big Pocket character on an old children's television program. We need the character name on the show and the name in real life. So name the Big Pocket character on an old children's television program.
Big pocket character.
Big Pocket character.
Big pocket.
Pocket.
Big pocket
Like
character.
a pocket.
Like a pocket?
Yep, like a
Okay.
pocket.
All right.
We need the character name on the show and the name in real life.
Wow, that didn't take long. She's already
run out of the room.
She's already out the door.
There's no way someone could have looked that up.
You don't
They
think
knew
so?
this. I don't think so. That was pretty quick.
That was pretty quick, yeah.
It was pretty quick. So,
Maybe if you use Siri, if you talk into Siri, can you...
Siri, Big Pocket character.
Right. Old children's TV show.
I don't know if it would pop up.
Probably would.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yep, I'm not sure about that one.
Well, we'll see. And, just
I
because the
thought
first caller called in doesn't mean they have the answer correct.
Well, that's true.
We know that, right?
No,
So.
very true.
Okay, so while we're seeing if we have a winner on that, let's go ahead and get caught up on the statistics from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Okay.
It's been 2 days since our last report, so 2 days worth of testing. So I took this as promising. In the last 2 days, they've done 51,862 tests. That's about 26,000 a day. And we've had 2,119 positive cases in the last 2 days. So if you did the math, that's 4%. That's not bad. We like that, right? We
Numbers
like
are
seeing
getting
those
better.
lower numbers.
Yep.
So let's hope that trend continues. Unfortunately, we did have had 81 deaths since Tuesday. We are approaching... unfortunately, fast approaching 3,000 deaths here in the state. We're at 2,990 COVID-related deaths. Our hospitalization rate went up by 101 since the last one. We're at 928. But if you remember, I mentioned on Tuesday, they were having some difficulty getting correct numbers from the hospitals over the weekend. And so this might be just kind of more of a reflection of what really was happening. The numbers might have been a little bit low. But anyway, like the trend of seeing the positive numbers coming down, the different counties that we track, it's still Forsyth, Guilford, Durham, Mecklenburg, and Wake counties that we look at. And they all went up relatively about the same amount over the last 2 days. But I checked something that I thought would be very interesting for folks, and that is there's a as I said, that North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, that dashboard they have, there's just a wealth of information in there that you can kind of dive into some of the statistics. But I happened to look today, and it's cases per 10,000 residents in each county. So, depending on how big your county is, we just go by the number of positive cases in a county without really taking into account how many people live in that county. And so you may have a low amount of cases, and it may look like you don't have much of an outbreak there, but if you have a small amount of people that live in that county, then proportionally it could be higher than what you think. So I thought, okay, so our 5 counties that we've been monitoring and watching, what is the cases per 10,000 residents living in that county? And maybe not surprising, Mecklenburg still is the highest at 243 cases per 10,000 residents. Second was Durham, although Durham is now besides Forsyth County, it's got the lowest number of cases. Guilford's gone above them. But the cases per 10,000 residents in Durham is 227. The next is Forsyth, believe it or not, at 172 cases per 10,000. Then it's Wake at 146 cases per 10,000. And Guilford is actually the smallest out of the 5 counties at 140 cases per 10,000. And that's because Guilford is very heavily populated. So when you kind of think about it from that terms, we haven't had as much of our population get COVID test positive for COVID-19 as opposed to these other counties, even though our number is higher than 2 of the counties. So anyway, just a different way of looking at it. I thought that might be very interesting for our watchers today to just hear some of that. And then also, I tracked this as well. I just thought it might be kind of interesting to look at this. Out of the total 180,000 cases in the state, 48% have been males, 52% females, so pretty close to 50-50. The 25 to 49 range is the highest positive case age bracket, 41%. 41%, almost half, are between 25 and 49 for the 180,000 people that are that are positive for COVID-19. Next biggest one is 50 to 64 at 19%. That's a big difference between 41% and 19. 16% for the 18 to 24s, 11% from newborn to 17, and then 65 to 74 is 7%, and 75 plus is 6%. So not surprising maybe in some ways that the older generation, the older folks are less than anything else, and that's just because I think, first of all, they're smarter, and they also know that they're more at risk, so they're being smarter, and I think that makes a whole lot of sense. So just some interesting things that I thought that I picked up from the site today that I thought would be good. Let's talk about River Landing. So we're going to have a letter going out today and tonight in the boxes. We did our weekly testing again Tuesday. We did 110 new tests, residents and staff. That's a lot of testing, I will tell you. And I mentioned this the other day, but it's not as simple as just doing a nasal swab and saying, okay, you're done. There's a lot of processing. There's a lot of paperwork. It's a major operation to be able to do these tests. But did 110 new tests. Out of that 110, we had 108 that were negative, which is great. We had 1 positive and 1 false positive. And when I say false positive, I want to explain this. So we had one that came back as positive that we were pretty sure was not positive. And sometimes with this testing, it's not 100%, especially when it lists you as positive, it's not always positive. So we retested that person right away, and it came back negative. So we really only had 1 positive out of the 110, if you want to look at it that way. Unfortunately, that is a staff member in St. Andrews, which is the area that we've been having some issues with the residents and staff getting positive for COVID-19. Fortunately, that staff member is asymptomatic, and so they didn't even know that they had it, and so that's good. But unfortunately for us, that it's another staff member that can't work for another couple of weeks now. So that makes it difficult in that area to keep our staffing up. But so it's good. I mean, the big thing out of this, I think, that I would, as a resident, I would be happy about is there was no new residents in St. Andrews that got tested that was positive for COVID-19. That is, I'll be honest with you, when I heard that last night, I went, whew, okay, that's really good. So, because you just don't know. We don't know once it gets into an area, especially an area like the memory care unit. I think you all know this. It's the memory care area. It's very free-flowing in there. The residents are constantly kind of on the move in there, and it's very hard to be able to get them to socially distance. It's very hard to get those residents to be able to wear masks, and so the idea that things could spread in there is probably a lot easier there than any other place on our campus. So I was really happy, all that to be said, I was really happy that we didn't have any residents test positive. And I will also report, which I think is really good news, the 3 residents from last week that tested positive are all 3 still asymptomatic. So it's been over a week now. So we're keeping our fingers crossed and saying little prayers, and we're very much hoping that by this time next week, we'll hit our 2-week mark, and so we'll see about being able to maybe reintroduce them, if that works out, back into St. Andrews, because I think you all know we have the COVID-19 unit over in Wingfoot, and that's where those 3 residents are, and trying to keep them safe and keep them healthy. And so we'll see if those 3 can go back next week. But I think the results are really good. When you think about the fact that, as a state, we're anywhere from 5 to 7%, it seems like, on a positive thing, on a number of test cases, and we had 1 positive out of 110. We're beating the odds here. We're doing very good. So, again, I can't say this enough. We've got an incredible healthcare team. I mean, starting with Kat Banks, who's our healthcare administrator, and Tony Chapman, our director of nursing, and I can name all of them over there, and they all are doing a fantastic job. But if you could, and I'm just going to ask this is kind of, I'm thinking out loud here now, I'm thinking off the top of my head, I know you probably don't see our nursing staff all that much, but if you happen to come across and see them, would you please just congratulate them and tell them and appreciate how much the job they're doing? I will tell you, these folks, if there's anybody that's burned out because of COVID-19, it's going to be these folks. You think about the hard job they have, which is now just trying to take care of residents, which is not an easy job, as we all know. I mean, it's a big job, but they love their job. They're doing a great job of it. They have to wear a mask. They have to wear gloves. They're gowning up for being able to take care of the residents. It's a lot of work to be able to do this, and they've been doing this for 6 months now. So, when we think we have it tough sometimes, I think we need to think a little bit about how these staff members, these team members, and what they're doing and how hard it is. And that's not even taking into account when you lose staff members because they test positive and they have to go off and not be able to come in and help for 2 weeks. They've got to cover for that as well. So it's a big job. We've got a great team over there. The good Lord has blessed us as far as I'm concerned. We've just been blessed with a great team over there. I tell Kat that all the time about what a great job she's doing. So if you happen to see them, please, please, please send them well wishes and thank them for the job that they're doing.
I think one of the biggest challenges, Tom, is a lot of times it's an invisible virus.
Yeah.
Asymptomatic people, they don't know they even have it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the hard part, is preventing something that you don't even know could be here.
Yeah.
So they're doing a tremendous job just being able to do that.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
It's taxing, and we've had enough conversations with them to know that they're trying to put a good face on, but it's a war zone over there. I mean, let's face it, we're battling COVID-19, and the battle here on this front in independent living looks a lot different over there in the skilled nursing side of it, where they're providing hands-on care. I mean, they're
Very
directly working with residents over there, and knowing that that you could be the reason a resident gets it or not gets it because of what you do. There's a lot of pressure on our team over there. So if any of you are watching, and I know sometimes they watch 1390 to watch the show, I just wanted to, hats off to our healthcare team, doing a great job.
Yep.
And then the last statistic was the congregate living settings, the nursing homes, residential care facilities. The number is still about 7.4%. So the number of positive cases in nursing homes and residential care facilities throughout the state, that number is about 7.4% of the total positive cases are in nursing homes and residential care facilities. And we're right at 50% still for the number of deaths. So the deaths, unfortunately, in the state it's almost exactly 50% coming from nursing homes and residential care facilities. So, we know how dangerous this virus is firsthand. So I think that's it, Lisa. That was a lot of information for today, but good stuff. Like I said, you'll have the letter coming out. I think I know that we finished the letter, and Michelle's got it, and I think she's going to have it put out tonight in your boxes so you can see it if you got any information. But appreciate the prayers, appreciate the concerns. I still think that we're doing tremendously well when you think about, when you compare us to a lot of other retirement communities and nursing homes. We have had a very low number of incidents. The St. Andrews thing, honestly, has been our biggest biggest area of concern up to this point. And as long as we can keep people asymptomatic, then we'll just persevere through this and we'll be fine. So I just believe that the good Lord's got this in his hands, and we're just going to keep believing that and moving forward. Okay, enough said.
Okay, well, we don't have many other updates today, but we have a big one.
We do have a big one.
Okay. Ann Regan. We're going to go ahead and show a picture of. You saw, she was on the show, let's see, was it not last week, but the week before, right, Tom?
That's correct.
And she was heading off to have her surgery in Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky.
And that is Ann right there. And she is discharging from the hospital.
Yeah.
And look how amazing she looks.
She doesn't look like she's ever been through anything, does she?
She doesn't. I mean, she went through a major surgery, and that's Ann. What, 6 days after surgery?
Amazing.
And discharging?
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
And I think what she said was she was going to go to a hotel for a few days.
Yes, she's got to stay in the area, I think, for 6 to 7 days.
Yeah.
Before they'll let her actually leave the hospital area.
Yeah, your area.
So,
Yeah, they
just
want
in
to
case.
just keep monitoring. But
Absolutely.
they've been amazed by her progress.
Yes.
Of course, we all know Ann's an amazing person anyway.
She is,
So,
yeah.
But that's so exciting and so uplifting.
Yeah, so very cool. So we wanted to be able to share that today.
She and the concern for her.
Absolutely. Okay, we have a couple questions today.
So. Okay.
What are some of the reasons my family member may not be able to pass the screening tool and will not be able to visit me? So that's a good question.
Yeah, so part of it is their attitude coming in. If they're mean and nasty and they just give our security team a hard time, they're not getting in. I'm telling you, they are not getting in. If they can't be nice coming through the front entrance, I can tell you that is not going to happen here. So, no, that's not it, obviously. But what are some of the reasons?
There might be some other things.
Yes.
If you have a temperature, please do not have your family members come out here if they're running a temperature.
Yeah. Because we will turn them around.
We will turn them around.
We will not allow
for
them
that.
in. And
Yes.
you know why. You
Yes,
understand that.
Absolutely. Actively sick.
Yeah.
So showing signs and symptoms
If you're
of
throwing up
COVID.
in the car in front of the guard, I can tell you, you're probably not going to be able to get in.
Right.
Okay. I just think most people would know that, right?
Right,
So, okay.
right. There's a lot of signs and symptoms of COVID, which makes it hard because sometimes it maybe is just allergies.
Yeah.
But it's hard to know that, headache, sore throat. There's a whole list of items that any one of us could have.
Well, and the residents aren't going through the screening process anymore, so they don't
Right.
even know the questions have changed. And so
Right.
now when we as a staff member sitting at the guard house,
Takes a couple minutes
and they
to
start
go
going
through the
through all the
screening.
symptoms, it's like,
Yes.
okay, well, I probably had 8 or 9 of those last night, right? I mean, yes, I perspired this morning, on the way
Right.
into work, and and I'm being a little ridiculous,
But it
it's
is kind of crazy,
it's
the list.
crazy, the list.
Yes. And that list now, the screening tool is up on CareMerge.
Yeah.
So that way you can take a look at it ahead of time, make sure your family knows what we're going to be asking. But if you're actively sick, please tell them not to come out here. Even if it is allergies or just not sure, it's not worth taking the risk.
If you're not sure, the answer should be no, don't come.
Yes,
That's
yes,
right.
absolutely. Exposure to someone that has been diagnosed or tested for COVID. That's also an important one. If you've been exposed to someone that has, please don't come out here. That would be the other thing that, wait the number of days before you'd come back out here.
Yeah, I know that you all want to see your family members, but if your family members have been exposed to somebody else,
Right.
they're putting you in jeopardy.
Absolutely.
And they're putting the community
And
in
then the
jeopardy.
community.
But mostly it's you. And
Right,
so,
right.
they
Just don't
need
take
to-
that risk.
Just don't come.
Yeah,
Just wait a couple
yeah.
weeks then if that's the case.
Absolutely. Another question that you'll see on there is, have you been exposed or in large groups
Yeah.
where you have not been able to wear a mask or
Yeah.
social distance?
Yeah.
So some of that, different groups that you maybe it's 100 people you've been in a group with, and you were up next to somebody. There's potential of that. We don't want to bring any more risk in here than we have to. So those are some of the things that we ask. We also ask about mass transit. Have they been flying on planes? Have they been on cruises? Have they been on trains? All those kind of things, those are questions that we're going to ask.
Yeah.
Just because that increases your risk
Yeah.
when you're using mass transit.
That's right.
I can't say that that's automatically going to cut you out from coming in here,
Right.
but it will trigger more questions. So if we find out you've been on a plane, then there's an additional tool to talk about travel. So a lot of those situations, if your family member has been traveling, contact Cindy Hawks before they even come out here. I don't want them to get to the gate and then realize, oh, my traveling maybe is going to affect my visit today. So just like we've asked for residents, if you're going to be traveling and things like that, that you clear it through Cindy first. Same thing with your families, if you have any question on things like that. So that's kind of a good list of things that for sure would turn you away, especially the sick, temperature, things like those are pretty easy ones to understand, I think.
Yeah, some of these are no-brainers. I mean,
Right,
you're
right.
going to be turned away right away.
Right.
But some of these just require a little bit more information. It's kind of like when
Absolutely.
you travel now. I mean, if you're
is.
calling up
Same
Cindy,
thing.
depending on your circumstances, she's going to be asking you questions and
Right.
just trying to find out what you're doing and how you're going to do things. And that's the process that we're going to be
Absolutely.
doing with the screening up at the front gate, too.
Okay, another question. When will we see changes in activities related to the governor's new directive regarding numbers at events? So we all know the governor has now increased indoor events to up to 25, outdoor events up to 50. So our teams, specifically Resident Services and Wellness, have been meeting to look over past calendars and what maybe could we bring back safely, and then coming up with ways that we can make those events safe.
Yeah.
And talking about protocols, there might be sign-ups and things like that to be able to maintain our numbers. So next week, Cindy and Whitney are going to join us on the show
Yes.
on Tuesday.
Yes.
And talk a little bit more about what we see coming up for the future.
Yeah, we kicked Ken off the stage. And,
we did.
I don't know how that happened, Ken. Ken's here in our audience. Ken, I don't know how that happened, but you got kicked off the stage for something. Well, I don't know how anything could be more important than having Ken up on the stage, but apparently there's more things important. So
It's girl power.
girl power,
Girl
is that what it
power-
is? It's girl power.
Girl power came
Okay.
through.
Well,
Yes.
that's what it is,
So
Ken.
that's what
So,
happened, Ken. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I can tell you the one area that we're really going to be looking at is the activity areas is anything that's chaplain related. That's going to be first priority that we're going to look at. So, absolutely, Ken. I got your back, buddy. Okay, I just want you to know that. So,
okay, last question.
yes.
Has there been any changes in dining related to the governor's most recent directive? And there has not been any changes in dining, so we're still at the 50% capacity.
That's right.
He has not changed us in that way yet, so.
4 meals a day now.
Ken says there's 4 meals a day now instead of 3. I'm not sure how that happened.
Well, for some people it has to be 4, I guess. I don't know. So,
But still at 50% capacity.
That's a lot of extra prayer, Ken. You know, if you say a prayer for each meal, you just increased it by 33% by doing that, so.
Oh.
All right.
Now we're to the best
We get to the best part, right?
Yes.
Jim and Jack, I'm so excited. So, Jim, why don't you tell us a little bit about Furl here at River Landing?
Well, first of all, my compliments, Lisa, on working your way through Furl to perfection.
Thank you.
Just
Thank you.
Great social work model here.
Jim, I have a theory about this. I think it was one of those pregnant pauses, where she was just trying to make the emphasis to be really on River Landing, the free university at River Landing. See, it was the way she did it. I think it was very
purposeful.
graceful and purposeful, I think.
Pregnant pause.
Well, I was thinking that I was
I wasn't sure where he was going with that, but
I was complimenting you on getting the change from at to of.
Oh, there you go.
see,
Sorry, Tom.
Forget what I said then, Jim, all right?
Okay.
All right.
Philosophically, a free university suggests that anyone can teach and anyone can learn. Now, that may drive some traditional educators, of which I'm also one, up a tree, because are you qualified to do such and
Sure.
such? But the idea behind a free university is sharing of knowledge and skills, and you don't have to be an expert to share what you may or may not know. So the idea, it's also that there's no tuition, no grades, no rankings and so on. It's just sort of the closest thing I've been able to think of for a long time to learning for learning's sake.
That's neat.
yes.
And as we all know, there is an amazing reservoir of talents and skills in this community
Yes.
that, with a little nudging, perhaps,
Yep.
can be shared in under the context of a free university. So a couple of years ago, the idea of just sort of fell under the rubric of lifelong learning at the resident council, which sort of coincided with my arrival in that group. And so we created FURL, the Free University of River Landing. And we created a work group, sent out a survey, and in the summer of 2019, we identified the first 8 courses that were to be offered. And they were, I think, a pretty amazing variety of things. For example, a Western North Carolina family in the Civil War, going fishing in a pond. Do medical patients have rights? Irish mythology, which we'll hear more about from our resident mythologist here in a second. Freehand drawing, and how the federal criminal justice system conducts investigations.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
And that one was particularly timely because it was right after the Mueller report came out, and the NPR here was absolutely filled to hear Tom Burleson
I'll bet.
give a talk about how the government does, in fact, create investigations or conduct them. And then another one that went on, started that summer, was a weekly Spanish table in the bistro where people basically met for lunch to talk Spanish. Not to learn from the beginning, but the assumption was that it was just a conversation about whatever topics came up.
See.
That went on through the summer and fall.
See.
Oh. Oui, monsieur. Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's French.
Okay. In the fall of 2019, we had another wonderful set of offerings, one on clowning, one on weaving and looms, project planning, patience and their rights came up again. There was a terrific course on the history of the King James Bible, and another one on genetic testing and doing family history research.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, who would have thought of that
Yeah.
in the normal scheme of things? And then another, this was a great title too, the Serbian soap opera as it relates to the beginnings of World War I.
Oh, wow.
And that turned out to be an amazing course. Between these two sessions, we had over 500
Wow.
registrations.
That's
And that
incredible.
that just sort of blew us all away, I think. We weren't quite sure,
Yeah.
what we were getting into. In the spring of 2020, 7 courses were offered. Some were held, and others had to be canceled due to bigger things that came along. The one story out of this that I think about right now that I just want to relate, so what it means, one of the people doing one of these courses, we were having lunch one day, Helen, my wife and I, in the bistro, and Compass had just come out, the thing had been listed. This presenter may have been a little bit shy, and somebody came up to her and said, I just saw your offering in Compass, and I think that is the neatest thing. I had no idea that you had these skills, and thank you for, and the person just
That's cool.
kind of
That's
almost elevated
Yeah.
out of their chair. It was just, I thought, hey, that stuff happens over and over.
I think we're going to
Jim, we're gonna do a
amplify
mic
you a
change
little
for
bit
you.
more.
Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna turn that off.
We're getting reports that you're a little bit quiet, or so. Let's try that. Let's try that.
Hello.
Oh, that's much better. Okay.
I don't have to say all that over again, do I? I'm sorry.
You have to do it again, but you have to do like that old commercial where that guy that you could do the, what was it IBM or whatever? He would say it real fast. You remember? Never mind. Never mind. I'm dating myself, and nobody knows what I'm talking
I
about.
pass.
So, yeah, you did. Well, Jack, I want to ask you how you got involved in this.
Well, back the summer of 2019, as Bill,
Bill, we call him Bill too. He likes it.
I'm
We
incognito.
interchange our names. It's okay.
well, Jim sent out the survey and to gauge the interest in something like this here, and I responded to the survey, and Jim gave me a call and we chatted about it. And the result was I ended up agreeing to serve on the work committee, the work group, which I've enjoyed, and I agreed to teach a class. And I have an interest in Irish mythology and have for some years, and I thought, well, maybe some other folks, a few folks might have an interest in that. So I put together a class that would be 3 one-hour sessions. I plan to do one each week. And so we put the sign-up book out in the lobby, and about 10,000 people signed up.
Wow.
Who knew there was such an interest in such an arcane subject?
That's awesome.
What I ended up doing was teaching that 3-session course 3 times over
Wow.
a 3-month period, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it gave me the opportunity to kind of adjust the course each time I gave it to kind of gauge it to the River Landing audience. And I think that was kind of useful. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah. It must have taken you forever to get through the 10,000 people that signed up.
Well,
for it.
it did. It took 3 months.
Well,
I think we actually had about 40 or 42 folks.
That's awesome.
I think,
Yeah.
originally, I think we actually had 58
Oh, really?
sign up. And in the little folklore, the mythology that was developing amongst the work group, we were saying that Jack was now consigned to teach Irish mythology forever at River Landing, and that we hope that he'd be around for a long time to do so.
I hope I'm around for a long time regardless.
Yeah, we are too.
So have you ever taught before?
No.
You hadn't?
No.
And was this kind of nerve-wracking to you to jump into this?
Yes and no. It was a little nerve-wracking having never done anything
Sure.
like that before, but as we were talking earlier, I think, the environment here at River Landing is so supportive and encouraging that it kind of makes it okay to take a chance. And you can do that without feeling like people are going to laugh at you.
Right.
Or if they do, they'll laugh behind your back and you won't know it. I was comfortable doing it in that
Sure.
way. And once I got started and the rapport between
Right.
the audience or the attendees and myself kind of developed, it made it much more easy. It was very comfortable.
That's great.
So it was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
So, Jim, did Free University start at River Landing? Because I think you kind of mentioned a little bit about that at the beginning, but it didn't really start at River Landing, right?
No. The notion of free universities has a rich history in adult education in America, and I would suggest that free universities and community colleges and the Cooperative Extension Service are three of America's great contributions to education in the world. The free university movement, at least as I know it, traces its roots to all the way back to the middle 1800s.
Wow.
And the Chautauqua movement in New York, which still exists in Chautauqua, New York.
Wow.
And then you can draw a line from there to the Highlander Folk School in Tennessee in 1932, which was a school that started, and every civil rights movement that went on in the country from 1932 on, people went to Highlander to take courses in organizing. And at a National Free U conference in 1974, the founder of Highlander, Miles Horton, came to our conference and gave a keynote address. It was one of the most amazing things. People like Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, and others have gone through Highlander back in the 50s before they became prominent people in the public realm. The freedom schools that were in Mississippi and Alabama and other states in the South in the early 60s, teaching people how to prepare to get registered to vote. The free speech movement at the University of California, Berkeley in the mid-1960s, all are significantly related to what became the contemporary, if you will, free university movement. And by the late 60s and 1970, there were something like 200 free universities across the country, mostly in universities, offering courses like the one here that were free and open to anyone to take. And at Kansas State University, where I worked soon after 1970, we created the rural free university model. At the moment, people thought that sort of arrogantly, well, if you have a free U, it's got to be around universities where there are learned people who can do this.
Right.
Well, we sort of debunked that idea, and with the help of, we learned some grant writing skills and stuff, and we started free universities in small rural communities across the state of Kansas. And over the course of probably about 6 years, there were something like 50 free U's created in towns as small as literally 160 people to a couple of thousand. The Kansas legislature got involved. We got legislation passed to support this idea.
Oh, that's awesome.
And some of those places are still running today.
That's really neat.
So what has been brought to the table here with Furl has a very rich history, and it's just so thrilling to me to be able to do it here, thanks to the resident council and this amazing group that Jack has mentioned, the work group, that has helped put it all together. And to be able to offer something. And the response has been very gratifying too.
Yeah,
because
it looks like it. It's
all kinds of
fantastic.
people have gotten involved.
That's great.
So, Jack, are you planning to kind of stick with this at this point, or, what's kind of being involved in this what has it meant to you?
If I can help it, he is. There's no way he's not going
I was
to be
going to say, if
involved.
Jim has anything to do with it, I know you're going to be involved.
Well, it has been a lot of fun, and I do plan to stay involved. I'd like to continue working with the work group. That's fun. A nice group of people to work with. I might teach some more classes if I can come up with something that I think people might be interested in, because I enjoy doing that. I enjoy the preparation for the class as much as the giving, the research that you do to kind of pull it together. And it's given me the opportunity to learn stuff that I didn't know before.
Okay,
So that's been fun.
sure.
I would encourage, especially the new folks who have come since we kind of closed the operation down for COVID, to get involved. As Jim said, there is a wealth of knowledge and experience among the residents of River Landing, and there's a lot of things we would like to know about.
Yeah.
And I hope folks will be willing to share them. On a personal basis, one of the things that I've gotten out of it is my wife Dee Dee and I have developed a lovely friendship with Jim and his wife Helen, and that's been very rewarding.
That's great.
So yeah, I'm going to hang in there at least a little while.
Good.
So you called Jim a friend then, if that's the case?
Advisedly.
As long as you stay involved, we'll be friends.
All right, guys, so what's next for Furl? I mean, honestly, obviously, we want to get past the COVID situation so that, I think the idea of trying to go back to having the audiences here for it is so important to be able to be in front of a group. It's really hard to do this on, we'll be the first ones to say it. It's kind of hard to do this on a 1390 when you don't have an audience participation here. It's a different doing it that way because you really need that audience participation, I think, in a lot of the classes. But all that being said, knowing that it's going to be somewhat after COVID-19, or at least until we get to phase 3 where we can start having more people. What's next for Furl?
Well, Tom, in the last couple of weeks, the work group, first of all, sent out a letter to all of the new residents, people who'd moved in here since about October of last year, just explaining what Furl was and introducing the idea and inviting them to send in suggestions for things they'd either like to lead or to take. And there's been quite a nice response to that.
Super.
We've just sent out in the last week or so a letter to all residents in independent living with essentially the same message that Furl is attempting to get relaunched, and we're looking to put together a small number of courses for October if the bits and pieces fall into place. And we've actually had a nice response to that too.
Good.
And we're going to meet on next Tuesday and kind of go through what we have and then make some phone calls. Some people have said, yes, I'd be interested in offering something, but I want to talk a little more about how to do that or in what form, whether it would be on 1390, on Zoom, or now that we can meet in small groups, we're going to sort through that and see what we come up with. Super. And our goal at this point is to be able to offer something like maybe 6 to 8 courses for the sort of October, November time. And based on what we have, what it looks like we have in the bag at the moment, we're going to be able to do that. So
Awesome. Fantastic.
Quite
That's
exciting.
great news.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I think maybe to end this, it might be good. You talked about your group meeting next week, Jim. Might be nice to pay some homage to the folks that you have as part of your group. Do you want to tell us who's in your working group at this point besides you and Jack?
Well, absolutely. We have Jack. I have them here in alphabetical order. Jack always comes first. So
Well,
I'm not
he is
sure
the
if
one that's here, Jim.
The first shall be last, or the last shall be first. Anyhow, but Jack is joined by Jerry Boone, Kerry Gustafson, Bill Lemieux, Sarah Leitner, Bonnie Smith, and Brian Stroud. Whoops. Brian just went away somewhere.
Oh, here he is.
Oh, there
Here
he
he
is
is.
again.
There he is.
He came back just at the right time to hear his
Yep.
name.
Brian is our linkage with resident
Staff
services.
liaison, yes.
That's a great group.
That's
I
great.
mean, when I look at the names on that group, you've got some great folks in there. So I'm not surprised Furl's so successful because you've got some great folks that are leading us. So, well, I know I speak on behalf of everybody here at River Landing to say thank you both very much. It's amazing how fast this program got off the ground and how well it is done. And you know, we're going to not let COVID knock any air out of us at this
That's
point.
right.
We're going to keep this thing going.
That's right.
And so
Yep.
we know with that group of people that'll keep going. So thank you both for being on the show today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, Lisa, let's see. We still got some work to do here.
We do. We have birthdays today.
Yes.
Okay, today, Ann Regan.
Yeah. Isn't
What
that
are
neat?
the odds? Yes,
Yeah.
so Ann
Yeah.
Regan's birthday.
What a great birthday celebration for
To be
her,
able
being able to leave the
be
hospital,
discharged
right?
from the hospital,
Yeah.
and that's good news. Saturday, we have Janice Cook.
All right. Happy
Sunday, we have Paralee Brinson, Kim Miles, and Martha Simpson.
birthday. All right.
So that gets us through the weekend.
Yeah, that's great.
And then for staff today, we have Jose Guzman, who's in dining.
Jose.
Tomorrow, we have Maureen Payne in nursing.
Yep.
And Sunday, we have Erica Vasquez in nursing as well.
Super. Okay. Lots of
And
birthdays.
Now we're down to the trivia question. And I
Yes.
saw we have a winner, so let me
Okay.
just make sure. Okay. It's somebody on your group, Jim.
Uh-oh.
It's somebody in your Furl group that won today. And we know it's not Jack.
I was just going to say, it's
Not
Jack.
Jim.
I didn't have a clue.
Oh. Okay, so the question today was from Diane Phillips, and the prize was the $10 gift card. So the question was, name the big pocket character on an old children's television program. And we needed the name of the character as well as the person's name in real life. So the answer was
Yes.
Captain Kangaroo.
Oh, Captain Kangaroo.
Did either of you know that one? No?
That was before I came to America.
Well, there
I
you go.
think-
Are you sure?
Well,
I'll tell you the years here, so we'll double check it. Captain Kangaroo, played by Bob Keeshan, and the show Captain Kangaroo aired weekday mornings on CBS for 29 years, from 1955 to 1984.
Before and after.
Making it the longest-running nationally broadcast children's TV program. The show was conceived by Bob Keeshan, Captain Kangaroo, who based the show on the warm relationship between grandparents and children.
Yeah.
That was the base of it. So
I remember
very
as a kid.
cool.
I remember as a kid watching Captain Kangaroo.
I do too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I forgot about the big pockets part of that, though.
Yes. Yep. Didn't he have a red jacket with the big pockets on it?
I think so.
So, yeah.
I get him and Mr. Rogers mixed up sometimes, so.
I can see the similarities. I'm not sure about that one.
Well, it's just,
Well, they each had a jacket
they
or
were
a
each
sweater.
single males that were, doing shows. I mean, come on, how could you not mix them up, right?
Okay, I could see it. We just go along with it.
Yeah, just go, just move along, please.
Okay, so since today's our last day for the week on
Yes.
here for the Churns, next week on Monday,
And Lisa, who was the winner?
We
You
did
know,
it again.
I do this periodically.
Sorry to bring up these
Come on,
minor
Jim. If there's
details.
somebody in your group, that's good. Should be good enough.
That's why you want to know, right? Okay, so the winner is Carrie Gustafson.
Oh, I knew it was him.
Congratulations,
Carrie.
Carrie.
Oh, he is good at trivia.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times he's won, but they've been very lucky, he and Barb, so.
Yeah, but he's a Chicago Bears fan. I mean, come on. So,
Thank you for the help there, Jim. Because sometimes I do need that. Usually it's Ken, but he usually makes fun of me or something. You did it very politely.
Oh, well, I was going to say, it's been nice being on this show, and I will look forward to another show in another life.
I think you've just earned your way back, Jim, at this point.
Exactly. You did it very kindly, so thank you. Tomorrow, for Friday, we have Fun Friday.
Yep. Brian doesn't know who that is yet, but it's okay.
It's where it's a surprise guest.
Surprise.
3 o'clock, Fun
Surprise.
Friday. Okay, next week. Monday is MASH Monday.
MASH Monday.
Tuesday is River Churns.
Yes.
And we will have Whitney and Cindy on, so you
Right.
don't want to miss that. That's
Right.
about promoting more activities and things
Maybe
like that are coming
maybe a
up.
cameo by Ken. Maybe he just come in and kind of photobomb it or something. I don't know, right?
I
Ken?
don't think so.
Oh, okay. All right.
Wednesday, we have Cahoots Sports Trivia. So if you're a sports person,
Ooh. All
this
right.
is it. Wednesday,
Okay.
you don't want to miss it. Thursday, the River Churns again.
Right.
And I don't know that we have a guest yet. It'll be a surprise. Surprise to me, surprise to you. It's a surprise. And Friday is Fun Friday again.
Yes.
Once again, it's another surprise.
Yes.
So
We've got lots of surprises
we
next
have a lot of
week.
surprises. Yes.
Surprise to us, too. That's good.
Yep,
So.
absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
I've got an oldie but a goodie today. Oldie but a goodie today. A senior citizen drove his brand new Corvette convertible out of the dealership. Taking off down the road, he floored it to 80 miles an hour, enjoying the wind blowing through what little hair he had left. Amazing, he thought, as he's flying down I-95, pushing the pedal down even more. Looking in his rearview mirror, he saw a state trooper behind him, lights flashing and siren blaring. He floored it to 100, then 110, then 120. Suddenly he thought, what am I doing? I'm too old for this, and pulled over to await the trooper's arrival. Pulling in behind him, the trooper walked up to the Corvette, looked at his watch, and said, "Sir, my shift ends in 30 minutes. Today is Friday. If you can give me a reason for speeding that I'd never heard before, I'll let you go." The old gentleman paused and said, "Years ago, my wife ran off with a state trooper. I thought you were bringing her back." The trooper said, "Have a good day, sir." Good one to end on, right?
That's a
Good one to end on.
Yes, absolutely.
We still need jokes. We still
We
need
do.
trivia
We are
questions.
running out of jokes and trivia questions.
Yes. So we would love to have some if you happen to see some good stuff. So, Jack, Jim, again, pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you're doing. Lisa, as always, so much fun working with you.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes.
Same here.
Yes. We whether we know it or not, we compliment each other very well.
That's
and we,
right.
we're
That's
very
right.
good about covering for each other's mistakes.
And today, Jim had to help us
Jim
out,
helped
too.
out. I was so good that Jim was with us today. So, well, happy Thursday, y'all. We love you. Hope you have a great evening and a great weekend.